Welcome to Tutorials with Larry. My name is Larry King and I hope to teach you something new today. So before we get started, I just really wanted to thank those of you that follow my YouTube channel. I also really just wanted to apologize because it's actually been a very long time since I've made a video. So this here is my very first video on the game ARK Survival Evolved. And if you've watched my Subnautica series, this tutorial is going to be very similar. It covers the very basics for playing the game, and I'm just here to try to offer some tips to make your experience a little bit easier, because the game can be very difficult. So if you've never played it, ARK Survival Evolved is an absolutely incredible, beautiful, open world survival game. It's very addictive, also very challenging, so hopefully these tutorials will help you get past the first few early stages of the game. So here I'll be playing the PC version of the game, but the principles I'll be covering will also work on the Xbox and PS4 versions as well if you have one of those. Okay, so after you install the game and launch it, you'll see a screen that looks a lot like this one. Now ARK, first of all, you should know is really designed to be played as a multiplayer game, but playing online is actually a lot harder because you have to deal with other players trying to cause you harm all the time. So for the purposes of this tutorial, I will show you how to set up a private offline game. So go ahead and click on the host local button here on the left side. Now you're going to see a lot of options here. I know it can be a little intimidating. For now, we're just going to leave everything as it is, kind of go with the default settings. Just know that the ARK developers really allowed you to customize about anything you want in the game. And once you get more advanced with it, you're going to want to come in here and actually change some of these sliders around. So the first thing you want to do is in the middle of the screen here are the maps you can play. This one here, the island, is typically where you would start, but for this tutorial I'm going to start on Ragnarok. It just happens to be my personal favorite map. It's a free map you get with the game, but it has a lot of really good starting areas too. So click on Ragnarok or whichever map you decide to play, and then click on Play Single Player. Okay, so after the map loads, you'll need to design your character how you like with all of these sliders here. So go ahead and do that. Now once you've finished that, you need to pick where you want to spawn on the map. In my opinion, you'll want to pick one of the recommended locations here. There are some others, but they're a lot more difficult, so if you pick one of the recommended ones, it'll make your start quite a bit easier. So pick your location, name your survivor, and then click on Create New Survivor to launch the game. Okay, so here we are. We are in this big, giant, prehistoric world, all alone, and no idea what to do. Basically, the goal of the game here is to survive, and that's what I'm going to try to teach you how to do. So ARK plays just like a standard 3D shooter. It uses the WASD keys to move your character. You use the mouse to look around. You can press the Shift key to run, and the space bar to jump. So there are two keyboard commands that you're going to use all the time. The first is the letter I. If you push that, you'll be able to see all the things like your statistics of your character. You'll be able to see the current temperature, the time of day, which day it is on the game that you're playing, your level, and of course your inventory. You'll also be able to see this right here, this crafting tab. So this is just like any other standard open world game. You're going to be in here a lot, creating things, building weapons for yourself, gathering items, things like that. Okay, so go ahead and hit escape to close this. The other key that you're going to use a lot is the letter E. It's kind of a universal key for picking things up, opening things, and interacting with things. The first thing we're going to want to do is actually make sure your character has food and water. Those are your most basic needs, and they will run out very quickly. Matter of fact, if you look on your lower right corner of your screen, you'll see some icons. The plus icon on the far lower right, that actually is your health. And the lightning bolt right above that shows your current stamina. That's actually very important, especially if you're running away from a T-Rex or something like that. As soon as you run out of stamina, you're in big trouble. Above that is your current food level, and above that is your water level. Now, above your water level is your encumbrance, so you can actually pick up enough stuff in the game to where your character gets weighed down and he can't even run. And then the very top icon, that arrow, that actually shows how close you are to leveling up to the next level. So it looks like we're getting close to level 2. So the first thing we're going to do here is let's run over here to the water, and I'll show you how to use the E key. Basically just run up to the edge of the water and then press the letter E. You can hear the gulping sound, and on the far right there, that little water icon should turn pure blue. It shows that you're fully hydrated. So let's go get some food now. Now there are a lot of food options in the game. Meat by far is the best thing for you to eat. It actually fills up your food bar a lot faster, but for this tutorial right now, we're just going to show you how to gather some berries. So if you walk up to one of these bushes here and push the letter E, if you look on the right there, you'll see I gathered a couple of berries. So just keep pressing the letter E until the bush breaks. And you can see we actually just gained a level 2, so we'll look at that in a second. So let's come up into this other bush, do the same thing. You're going to want to actually gather a lot of berries, and I'll show you why. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit I to open your inventory, and you can see all the things that we've gathered here. So the very important thing to note in ARK is not everything for you is safe. So you want to probably mouse over each item to kind of see what it's for. And these items right here, they say they're consumable. You can actually eat them. There are some berries you can gather that you don't want to eat. They're kind of black colored. They're called narco berries. Those will actually poison you, and you'll use them for other things in the game later on. These white berries here, these stem berries, you probably want to stay away from those too. They'll fill you up, but they dehydrate you. So what I typically do is stuff that I don't want. You can actually go to that item. If you right click it, you can actually click on the word drop. But if you also notice, there are these keyboard shortcuts here. So if I were to mouse over and hit the letter O, I hit escape here, you can see it just threw that item right out of my inventory. So let's go back into the inventory. And if you mouse over one of these berries and hit the letter E, the universal key I was telling you about, it actually eats one berry. And if you look down under your food meter here, it actually went up a little bit. Now when this is maxed out, it will actually heal you. So if you get damaged by some nasty creature or the elements, or you're drowning or something like that, eating food will actually increase your health a little bit faster. So the reason you need to gather a lot of berries is because eating one berry just doesn't do much for you. So go ahead and eat all these berries. And now you can see your food levels going up a little bit more. So one piece of meat actually makes your food go up quite a bit faster than the berries. So I'll show you how to do meat here in a little while. Okay, so the first thing we want to look at now is your level. So we got that message on the screen here, level up is available. So if you hit the I key to open your master inventory screen, you see these pluses here. And what you basically are going to want to do here is to increase one of your stats. Now everybody's got a different play style for their game. Me personally, I like to increase my melee damage because I like to use melee weapons. Later in the game you can use more advanced weapons like guns and things like that, so some of these stats may not necessarily be helpful to you, but kind of the most universal thing that most people will level up first is their health. So let's go ahead and hit the plus button here. Okay, as soon as you do that, it takes you to this other screen. So if you look across the top, click here on inventory, that's where we were, but it took us to this screen right here called engrams. Now what an engram is essentially a recipe in the game. These are, this will allow you to craft more things. So every time you level up, it takes you to this screen automatically because we have available here 8 engram points. So at level 1, which is what we were already, we are allowed to make these items here. Now that we're level 2, these items that are grayed out, we can actually pick from this menu to add these items to our list of known recipes or engrams. So I'm going to recommend to build a stone hatchet, or to learn the recipe. And spear's a good one to have right away too. And we only have 2 left, so we can't learn campfire yet. So we're going to have to get to level 3 before we can learn some more. So hit escape to get out of here. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to teach you how to use these recipes and learn how to build a little bit of basic protection. The thing about ARK is it is a very it's a very challenging game. You've seen just walking around here a little bit, there's a lot of creatures, and you don't know which ones are harmful to you and which ones are nice. You know, pretty much sometimes you just need to walk up to them to figure that out. This right here, this giant turtle, this Carbonimus, is they're friendly. If you do attack them, though, they hit pretty hard, so you want to be careful. That big, giant-looking eagle up there, those are one of the greatest dinos in the game, and that's for a more advanced tutorial, but they will actually harm you if you get close to them. So first thing I'm going to do is teach you how to gather items and to craft items. So if you hit I and go back to your crafting tab that I was telling you about, this shows all the recipes that you have available to use. So if we wanted to do something like make a pick, if you mouse over that, it will show you how many items you need to make it. So you need 1 stone, 10 thatch, and 1 wood. So how do we get these items? So let's hit escape. Now, the letter E, like I said, is kind of that universal key. So if you see some little stones on the ground like this, if you walk over and hit the letter E, you pick it up. So let's pick up a few stones. Now, sometimes you'll see a great big huge rock like this. You cannot pick that up. If you hit the letter E, it says you need to use an appropriate tool to harvest this resource. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to make one of those. So on the beach here, sometimes you'll see these little palm fronds. If you pick these up, you'll actually gather some wood and thatch. Okay, that one we can't. And just like Minecraft, if you've ever played that, you can actually walk up to a tree and punch it. You see you're gathering a little bit of thatch, and sometimes you'll get some wood. But the problem is, if you look in the lower right corner of the screen, you're actually damaging yourself. You're affecting your health. So it's not the best way of doing that. So let's go and look at our inventory, see what we've gathered. So we've got some stone, some thatch, wood, and some fiber. So let's go back to our crafting tab. Now I'm going to show you a secret keyboard shortcut that I use all the time here. Let's hit escape again. If you hit the letter V for victory, it opens up your inventory screen, but it takes you right to the crafting tab. So you don't have to open inventory and then click it. Now it shows you here what you can make. We still can't make anything except paper, which, you know, I've never really found much of a good use for that. So we need more thatch. So let's go ahead and gather more of these palm fronds. Let's just punch a tree. Okay, that should be good enough. So letter V. And then right here, the stone pick is not grayed out anymore. So you can double click it to make one, or if you right click, there's always options here. You can craft it with the letter E, your universal key. So mouse over it, letter E, and right here it shows you the stuff that you're crafting. Okay, so let's go to our inventory, and you'll see we now have a stone pick. So let's grab that, drop it in our hotbar down here. I usually put the pick in my number 1. Why, I don't know, but it's just something I do. And then let's hit the number 1. And now we have this pick. So let's walk up to this rock that we couldn't hit the letter E on before and swing it, just like a weapon in any 3D shooter. Your left mouse. And you can see I'm gathering stone and flint from this. And you can keep hitting this for quite a while. There's actually quite a bit of stone and flint here that you can gather. Alright, that should be enough for now. So let's go back to our V for victory, our crafting tab. And it looks like we can make some other stuff here. So let's make the spear. And let's make a torch. Torches are actually very useful. When Oh, sounds like we gained another level. But when it gets night out, it's very dark in the game, and also they do keep you warmer in colder environments. So let's make a torch. But what I want to do is make this stone hatchet. So we need a little more thatch to do that. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, let's level up. So hit the letter I. And then let's add maybe just a little bit more health. So you can see you got 10% on the last level. So now it's going to bring us up to 120%. And now we have a total of 10 available engram points. So let's learn a campfire. It's extremely useful. We're also going to learn how to make some basic armor, so we're not walking around in our underwear all the time. And that's it. That's all the points we have. So hit escape. Now let's go to V again. And now you see we have more recipes available to us. So this requires fiber. So does that. And I don't know if you noticed or not, but when we gathered fruit from these bushes with the letter E, it actually gathered fiber as well. So if you have a tool selected in your hand like this, how do you get rid of it? Because you can't hit the letter E right now because you've got a tool in your hand. So if you hit the letter Q, it will actually take whatever item you have in your hand and put it back in your inventory. Okay, so now we can hit the letter E on here. And you can see we gathered some berries and fiber. Just keep doing this here. Let's find some more bushes. Okay, now we also needed some thatch to make that hatchet. So there are some pretty cool uses here. So with this tool here, this pick, we were able to hit the rock and gather things like metal and flint, and you can still gather stone. But what if I hit a tree? So I'm gathering a little bit of wood, but a lot of thatch. So let me explain that here in a second here. So let's open up V, and then let's craft this stone hatchet. And it looks like we also have enough to make these pants, and not enough fiber to make the shirt as well. So let's go back to our inventory. Now, the hatchet, I'm going to put in my number 2 hotspot. I'll put the torch over here in 0, and I'll put the spear in number 9. And then these items here, you can actually just drag over to your inventory area, and it'll place the item on your body. So now we have our first set of armor to help keep us protected. This creature here is pretty cool. It's called a pteranodon, and you're going to want to make friends with these pretty early on in the game. Okay, so when you remember, hitting this tree with the pick produces a lot of thatch and just a little bit of wood. Now, let's pull out our axe. Number 2 now, and let's hit the tree with that. Now you notice we're getting a lot of wood, but very little thatch. So each tool sort of has its own purpose when you're gathering resources. So if I hit the rock with my hatchet, it actually gathers a lot of stone and very little flint. And probably no metal. So if you need to gather a lot of stone, you want to use an axe instead of a pick. Open our inventory. See, we've got a lot of cool stuff here. So here's that narco berry I was telling you about. You don't want to eat it, so let's just hit the letter O to drop it. Same with these white berries. And then let's go ahead and eat some more food here. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is think about crafting a place to sort of keep ourselves sheltered. Now, right now we don't have any recipes to do that. So if you open up I and go to your engrams here, it looks like level 4 we're going to get some structures here that we can start building. So we haven't made it to level 4 yet. So first thing let's do is let's gather some meat, and I'll show you how to cook it. So let's equip our spear. Just so you know, this entry-level spear that you craft is completely a piece of junk. They break very easily, and but they're good for getting started. Now, if you walk up to a creature here, you'll see what it is exactly. So we've got a dodo, level 39. Just remember, you're level 2. So a dodo doesn't fight back. They're a pretty tame creature, and they're really probably one of the best things for getting early food in the game. So let's just walk up to this guy and stab it a couple times. So it looks like we leveled up, but we also killed a dodo. Now, once you've killed the animal, I recommend either using your pick or your axe, and it's kind of violent, but if you whack on the body with one of these, it will produce more stuff for you. So if you hit it with an axe, it will actually produce more hide. If you hit it with a pick, it produces more meat. So we need hide, actually, because we're going to start needing some of those recipes. So let's use the axe, and you'll see it's gathering some raw meat, but it also gathered some hide. So it's not a lot of meat, so let's go ahead and get our spear again and go take out another dodo. Let's try a lower level one. There we go. And seriously, my spear just broke. Okay, so what I did there is I pressed the letter 9 again, where my spear was hotkeyed. If you have a broken item, and you have the resources in your inventory to craft that item, when you push it on your hotbar, it actually makes a new one. So let's go ahead and walk up to him and try to kill him. Okay, so in this case, we're going to use the axe to try to get... Actually, we're going to use the pick to try to get more meat. And it didn't really help much, but we have enough meat to get started. Okay, so if you open your inventory, you'll see now that you have some meat. You do not want to hit the letter E to consume that, because eating raw meat will actually poison you. You could pass out, get sick, all that kind of bad stuff. So what we actually have to do is cook it. The way to do that is, if you click on your crafting tab, one of these campfires. So it looks like we actually happen to have enough stuff for the campfire. So I'm going to just double click on it to make one. And here's what I'm going to do. Let's go to a place where it's a little safer from these big birds. They're called Argentavis. Let's move back to this area. Okay, so let's open up our inventory again. We'll take this fire. Now, what you want to do is actually, if you right click on it, you can place it. Again, you can mouse over it, press your universal E key, and that actually closes your inventory, and it pulls out this sort of ghosted looking thing. And you can, if it ever turns red, that means you can't place it there. If it's green, you can. So that looks good enough. We'll just drop it there. Left click, and then it dropped this fireplace. So how do we cook our meat? Now, if you walk up to it, it says E to access the inventory. So I'll go ahead and do that. Okay, and I'm going to hit escape. You also notice it says hold for more options. So if you hold the letter key down, it will actually bring up this spiral menu here. So you can actually destroy the fireplace. You can access its inventory, or you can pick it up. Now, picking things up that you've placed only lasts about 30 seconds typically. So see how it changed to demolish? Once it's placed for like 30 seconds, it's permanently part of the world until you actually demolish it. So let's go ahead and access inventory. And then let's take the raw meat that we just created, and we'll drop it right in there. Now, a fireplace will require fuel to cook. So we'll take our wood, drop it in the inventory as well. And once you do that, you notice this light fire button turns on. Click that. And there you go. We discovered fire. Now, the meat's going to take a few minutes to cook, or a few seconds, whatever, but let's go ahead and level up. And we'll add a little more health. Now we've got these brand new recipes down here for creating thatch items. So I definitely recommend learning thatch foundation, thatch walls, and it looks like we might have enough to do a thatch door frame. Okay, that should get us started. So hit the letter V, and then let's see what we need to make a thatch foundation. So we need fiber, thatch, and some more wood. Okay, so we've got everything except the wood. So let's walk up to a tree. Make sure you have your axe, because that'll gather more wood. Now, one thing you notice on the right, that icon just below the arrow is that little weight that shows how encumbered I am. So as soon as that maxes out, your guy basically can't move anymore. He's completely stuck. So let's back away here from this Argentavis just a little bit before he eats us. Okay. So what we're going to do here is go back to V, and then go ahead and mouse over this and hit the letter E. Well, if you go to our inventory, there's the item. So hit the letter E, and you've got this cool little foundation. So when you're building a structure that you want to have walls, you have to build a foundation first. So I just placed it there. It's good enough for now. If you walk on top of it, you're actually standing on this bit of structure you created. So what we're going to do here is gather some more resources and get enough items to build more of these thatch foundations and some thatch walls. And then let's put them all together. Okay, so I'm actually gathering resources to make a few pieces for our little structure, but I wanted to just jump in real quick and show you this. This is such a cool dinosaur. It's called a tech dinosaur. So it's just like a regular parasaur, but there's kind of a sci-fi theme going on in the game of ARK. You can tell by the thing that's embedded in your arm, and there's a bunch of other cool things off in the distance. Like you'll see that big purple glowing thing over there. That's actually what's called a loot drop. These things fall from the sky, and you can actually walk up to them and pick them up, and they have some cool items in them. And there's different colors. Like some are kind of white, some are blue, purple. The best are the red ones, but you actually have to be a certain level in order to get some of the loot drops. You can't actually access them unless you're a high enough level. So we're not going to worry about that for now, but I just wanted to show you that tech parasaur. So I'm going to finish gathering items, and let's go finish building the basic part of our structure. Okay, so I've gathered enough items to build a few more structure pieces. First thing let's look at our fire. So again, if you walk up, it tells you right there what you can do. Letter E puts it out, or if you hold the letter E, you can actually access the inventory. And you can see we have cooked meat. So let's drag that to our inventory. If you hit the letter E over one of those, it consumes one. And that's a lot better than eating fruit. So it looks like we're almost out of wood here. We'll let that burn for a little while. When that actually burns out, the fire will just turn off automatically. Okay, so let's take these structures that I just made and let's put together the rest of this. And then let's grab our walls. And again, if you just mouse over these areas, it kind of shows you where you can build them. This is definitely a very basic house. As you get more into the game, you'll build a lot cooler stuff than this. But this will keep us protected for now. Okay, so the other recipe I learned is this thatch door frame. We'll drop that right there. And there you go. And so let's go into our little house with no roof. But at least it's a little bit of protection. It's a good starting point. So we also did level up a little bit while I was gathering supplies. And let's go ahead and I'm going to add a point to melee damage. And then we'll actually add 2 points to that. Okay, so now we have 16 engram points available. And you can see we've opened up a couple more levels of things we could learn. So what I'm going to do for now is I'm going to learn some more building stuff. So we'll do a thatch door, and then we'll just do a thatch ceiling. And I'm also going to learn the sloped thatch roof and these little guys here. Okay, so that pretty much covers all of the basic things that you're going to need to get started in the game. So what I'm going to do here is I'll finish this tutorial, and then we'll start off on the next tutorial. We'll continue building up our structure and hopefully gain a couple more levels and start exploring some of the things we can do in the game. So for now, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it and I hope it was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you.